Ever had one of those moments where you swear you've lived through the exact same experience before? When you're chatting with a friend and suddenly get hit with this overwhelming sense that you've had this very conversation in the past? Or maybe you've walked into a room and felt like you've seen that exact setup somewhere before, even though you know it's impossible? If you're nodding along, congratulations. You've just experienced the wonderfully weird phenomenon known as déjà vu. Now, here's where things get really wild. What if I told you that your déjà vu might actually be a sneak peek into a parallel universe? I know, it sounds like something straight out of a sci-fi flick, but stick with me here. Some pretty smart cookies in the scientific world are entertaining the idea that when we get that freaky "I've been here before" feeling, we might actually be catching a glimpse of an alternate reality where we've already lived through that moment. Mind-boggling, right? But before you start thinking, "I've gone off the deep end," let me assure you that there's some serious brain power behind this idea. We're about to embark on a journey through the weird and wonderful world of quantum physics, multiverse theory, and the inner workings of our noggins. So, grab your favorite beverage, get comfy, and prepare to have your mind blown. Let's kick things off with the granddaddy of all mind-bending concepts, the multiverse. You've probably come across this term while binge-watching superhero flicks or flipping through comic books. But it's not just the stuff of fiction. Some heavyweight scientists actually take this idea pretty seriously. Picture this. Our universe is like a bubble floating in a giant cosmic bathtub. Now, imagine that bathtub is filled to the brim with countless other bubbles, each one a universe of its own. That's the basic gist of the multiverse theory. It suggests that our universe isn't the only show in town. There could be an infinite number of universes out there, each with its own set of physical laws and endless possibilities. Now I can almost hear you thinking, come on, this sounds like something a bunch of physicists cooked up after one too many late nights in the lab. And you're not entirely wrong to be skeptical. The multiverse theory is still very much a hypothesis, not a proven fact. But here's the kicker. It's not just some wild guess. It actually stems from some pretty solid scientific foundations, particularly in the realm of quantum mechanics. Let's take a quick detour into the wonderfully weird world of quantum mechanics. Don't worry, I promise not to get too technical. We're keeping this chat friendly, remember? At its core, quantum mechanics deals with the behavior of things at the tiniest scales imaginable. We're talking atoms and subatomic particles here. And let me tell you, things get pretty freaky at that level. Particles can be in two places at once, they can communicate instantly across vast distances, and they seem to make choices that defy our classical understanding of cause and effect. One of the most mind-bending interpretations of quantum mechanics is the many worlds interpretation, proposed by a guy named Hugh Everett III back in the 1950s. Everett suggested that every time a quantum event occurs, which is basically all the time, everywhere, the universe splits into multiple versions to accommodate all possible outcomes. Imagine you're flipping a coin. In our everyday experience, it lands on either heads or tails. But according to the many worlds interpretation, the universe actually splits into two versions. One where the coin lands on heads, and another where it lands on tails. And this isn't just happening with coin flips. It's happening with every quantum interaction, all the time. If this idea makes your head spin, you're not alone. Even Albert Einstein found quantum mechanics so bizarre that he famously said, "God does not play dice with the universe." Spoiler alert. It turns out the universe might be a bit more of a gambler than Einstein thought. Now that we've dipped our toes into the multiverse pool, let's circle back to our old friend déjà vu. Could this strange sensation actually be a momentary connection to one of these parallel universes? Some theorists have suggested that déjà vu might occur when our consciousness briefly tunes in to a parallel version of ourselves who's already experienced the current moment. It's like catching a snippet of a radio station from a neighboring reality. Imagine you're walking down a street you've never been on before, but suddenly you get that uncanny feeling that you've done this exact same walk before. According to this theory, you might be picking up on the experiences of a you in a parallel universe who's already strolled down that street. Now, I know this sounds like something straight out of The Matrix, but stick with me here. While there's no concrete scientific evidence to support this idea, sorry folks, it's not entirely outside the realm of possibility, given what we know about quantum mechanics and the potential existence of parallel universes. But let's pump the brakes for a second and consider some more down-to-earth explanations for déjà vu. While the parallel universe theory is undeniably cool, most scientists are looking at more grounded explanations for this phenomenon. One popular theory suggests that déjà vu is essentially a hiccup in our brain's memory system. You see, our brains are constantly processing a ton of information, and sometimes wires can get crossed. It's possible that when we experience déjà vu, we're actually forming a new memory and mistakenly tagging it as an old one. Another intriguing idea is the split perception theory. This suggests that there might be a tiny lag between when our eyes see something and when our brain processes it. If this lag is just right, we might perceive the same moment twice in rapid succession, creating that eerie sense of familiarity. It's like your brain is experiencing a mini glitch in the Matrix. There's also the memory mismatch theory, proposed by a researcher named Akira O'Connor. This idea suggests that déjà vu occurs when our brain detects a mismatch between what we're experiencing and what we remember. It's like our brain's fact-checking system throwing up a red flag and saying, "Hey, something's not quite right here." O'Connor and his team even used fancy brain imaging techniques to peek at what's going on in our noggins during déjà vu experiences. They found that the areas of the brain involved in memory conflict and conflict resolution lit up like a Christmas tree during these moments. Now, let's zoom in a bit and talk about a specific part of our brain that might be behind these déjà vu experiences: the temporal lobe. This region of our brain is super important for processing memories, and some scientists think it might hold the key to understanding déjà vu. Interestingly, people with temporal lobe epilepsy often report more frequent déjà vu experiences. This has led some researchers to speculate that déjà vu might be related to brief, mild disruptions in the temporal lobe, kind of like a little electrical storm in your brain. The famous physicist Michio Kaku has an interesting take on this. He suggests that déjà vu might be a result of memory glitches, where fragments of old memories get triggered by entering an environment similar to one we've experienced before. It's like your brain playing a game of Snap with your memories and current experiences. Kaku even goes a step further, acknowledging the existence of parallel universes in quantum physics, but suggests that we've decohered from them, making direct interaction unlikely. It's a bit like saying we're tuned to a different frequency than our parallel selves. Let's face it, the idea of parallel universes and mysterious mental phenomena like déjà vu are just plain cool. It's no wonder these concepts have taken pop culture by storm. From mind-bending movies like Inception and Interstellar to TV shows like Stranger Things, the idea of multiple realities and unexplained mental experiences has captured our collective imagination. And it's not just fiction. These ideas have sparked countless discussions online and in real life. How many times have you and your friends stayed up late, maybe after a few drinks, pondering the nature of reality and swapping déjà vu stories? There's something about these concepts that taps into our deep-seated curiosity about the universe and our place in it. Now, let's put on our philosopher hats for a moment. If parallel universes do exist, and if our déjà vu experiences are somehow connected to them, what does that mean for our understanding of reality? For starters, it could challenge our notions of free will and determinism. If there are infinite versions of you making every possible decision, does that mean your choices are predetermined? Or does it actually give you more freedom, knowing that every possibility is being explored? And what about the nature of consciousness itself? If our minds can somehow tune in to parallel realities, even for a brief moment, what does that say about the fundamental nature of awareness? Are our consciousnesses somehow connected across multiple universes? These questions might sound like the kind of thing you discuss in a late-night dorm room philosophy session, but they're actually being seriously considered by some scientists and philosophers. The intersection of quantum physics, neuroscience, and philosophy is a fascinating frontier that's pushing the boundaries of our understanding of reality. Here's a wild thought to chew on. If parallel universes exist and our actions affect alternate versions of ourselves, do we have a moral responsibility to consider these other selves when making decisions? Imagine you're faced with a tough choice. In one universe, you might choose option A, while in another you go with option B. If you knew that your decision would impact not just your immediate reality, but countless other versions of yourself, would that change how you approach decision-making? Some philosophers have actually pondered this question. It adds a whole new dimension to the concept of ethical behavior. It's mind-bending to think that our actions might have ripple effects across multiple realities. Now, you might be wondering, how on earth do scientists study something as fleeting and subjective as déjà vu, let alone its potential connection to parallel universes? Well, it's not easy, that's for sure. Déjà vu experiences are notoriously difficult to induce in laboratory settings. It's not like you can just flip a switch and make someone feel that uncanny sense of familiarity on demand. However, researchers have made some progress. For example, some studies have used virtual reality to create environments that might trigger déjà vu-like experiences. Others have used brain imaging techniques like fMRI to see what's happening in our noggins during these strange moments. As for parallel universes, well, that's an even tougher nut to crack. Since we can't directly observe other universes, at least not yet, scientists have to rely on indirect evidence and mathematical models. It's a bit like trying to figure out what's inside a wrapped present by shaking it and making educated guesses. But don't worry. Some of the brightest minds in physics are working on ways to potentially detect evidence of other universes. Who knows? Maybe one day we'll have a parallel universe detector sitting next to our microwave oven. So, where does all this leave us? Are our déjà vu experiences really glimpses into parallel universes? Or are they just quirky misfirings in our brains? The honest answer is, we don't know for sure. What we do know is that both déjà vu and the concept of parallel universes challenge our understanding of reality in fascinating ways. They remind us that the universe or universes might be far stranger and more complex than we can imagine. The next time you experience déjà vu, take a moment to savor the mystery of it. Maybe you're just having a little brain hiccup, or maybe, just maybe, you're catching a fleeting glimpse of another you in a parallel world. Either way, it's a reminder of how wonderfully weird and mysterious our existence can be. And who knows? Maybe in another universe, you've already finished reading this article and are off exploring the multiverse yourself. Now there's a thought to give you déjà vu as we wrap up this mind-bending journey through parallel universes and the quirks of our brains. It's worth taking a moment to appreciate the sheer wonder of it all. Whether or not déjà vu is actually a window into alternate realities, the fact that we can even contemplate such ideas is pretty amazing. It speaks to the incredible capacity of the human mind to grapple with complex concepts and push the boundaries of our understanding. So the next time you find yourself in the grip of déjà vu, instead of shrugging it off, why not lean into the experience? Take a moment to consider the vast possibilities that might be unfolding around you. Who knows? You might just catch a glimpse of something extraordinary. And even if you don't, you'll have tapped into that childlike sense of wonder that makes life so rich and fascinating. After all, in a universe or multiverse full of infinite possibilities, isn't it wonderful to know that there's still so much left to discover? So here's to déjà vu, parallel universes, and the endless mysteries that keep us questioning, exploring, and dreaming. Who knows what incredible revelations await us just around the corner? In this reality or the next, the adventure continues.